Hello, my tea-loving friends. Welcome to another episode of Spill the Tea with Tommy D. This week, we are going to be doing a Yerba Mate. So some people might be familiar with Yerba Mate because you see they have like cans now that'll say Yerba Mate in it. But what we're doing today is we're doing the real stuff, the uncut, pure Yerba Mate. So with yerba mate, it is technically considered an herbal tea, and as previously mentioned in our rooibos episode, what that means is there are no actual tea leaves in it. There's no Camellia sinensis in it. So the yerba mate is actually part of the holly family. So it's like a part of the holly tree or bush family. And the one thing that you got to be careful with this is while it is herbal, it does contain a significant amount of caffeine. It actually contains a different form of caffeine referred to as matine. And the major difference is that it still has the caffeine in it, but it also has a couple other compounds that are also stimulants. So yerba mate is really great for mental alertness and energy. So it's going to be a little different. So what it is, it's actually from, yerba mate is from Argentina, so very South America. Like I said, it is a plant, more of a part of the holly tree. And then, so with it is, the way they drink it in Argentina is they actually use a special, they use a gourd. They scoop a hefty amount of yerba mate into the gourd, fill the gourd with hot water, and then they use a special straw called a bombilla. Pardon me for not having the accent. Again, as where all my teas come from, I am not from any of those places. So I believe it's called a bombilla. And what it is it's a metal drinking straw with a strainer at the end. So you just put the straw right into the gourd filled with the tea, and as you drink it, the bombilla prevents you from getting the tea in your mouth. So I tried to get a bombilla for this episode. Unfortunately, Amazon couldn't get it to me in time, which is understandable. So we're gonna do we're gonna brew yerba mate, kind of more a tradition, like a regular way of brewing it, like we would brew our loose leaf teas. So with yerba mate, on top of the mental alertness and the energy, it also has a lot of antioxidants in it. It's also a hunger suppressant. It like helps curb your appetite. So it also increases your metabolism. So again, not a doctor, but it's supposed to give you the mental alertness and help aid in weight loss. I love this stuff. It's really great to cut a cup of yerba mate in the morning before you work out. It's really clean energy. Very similar to if you were to drink like a cup of matcha. Now, with yerba mate, the cool story behind yerba mate is it is actually considered the drink of friendship in Argentina. And the reason why it's called this is because the story goes, the legend, if you will, goes that the goddesses of the moon and the cloud were coming down to Earth for like a visit. They're coming out to hang out. And then there was a jaguar that was going to attack them, I guess, was about to attack them, and the two goddesses were saved by an old man. So kudos to him. I could never take down a jaguar. I don't know, so very surprising on that. But to say thanks, the goddesses gave them this plant. They said, thank you for saving us, here's this new plant. And that's the story of yerba mate, how it came to be known as the drink of friendship. And this was a crazy thing that happened to me. Obviously, this is way before quarantine, but I was at a food festival in Brooklyn, and I saw a couple pull out a big thermos. That's how they, in yerba mate in Argentina, they'll carry around a thermos of hot water and like their stuff with them. So I saw them pull out the thermos, the gourd, and the bombilla, and literally start making yerba mate right in front of me. And I was pumped, because you don't see that too often. So I just like went over, and I was talking to them for a little bit, asked them about it, and it's considered a really a nice gesture, because it's the drink of friendship, for someone to share their yerba mate with you. And crazy to think about now, but they offered me some of their yerba mate, and I graciously accepted. So that was a pretty cool thing. I got to experience the actual culture of yerba mate, as well as the drink itself. So that's it. We're gonna brew some yerba mate soon. So this one is a just like, so you do 1.5 teaspoons. If you're not just loading it up in the gourd, you're gonna do 1.5 teaspoons per 8 ounces of water, and then you can steep it between 3 to 10 minutes. So let's brew some yerba mate. Now the brand that I use is called Guayaki Yerba Mate. It actually is the same brand that you'll see those canned drinks in. It comes in a yellow bag. The thing about yerba mate is it doesn't really matter where you get it as long as it's like the right stuff, because it's just a plant. So it's not like there's a special blend, although they do make yerba mate blends, which are very good. Hopefully I'll get my hands on some soon, be able to share that with you. Alright, so we got our yerba mate. 1.5 teaspoons per 8 ounces. Like I said, I did a little under 3 teaspoons because of my 12-ounce mug. So like I said, 3 to 10 minutes, depending on how strong you like it. So I am going to, let me actually, I forgot to, I'll just use this one. Show you guys what it looks like here. You can see that it's very, it looks very grassy in a sense. It doesn't have like the fine blade look like Essentia does, but it definitely looks very earthy. It also smells very earthy. I've heard that I've heard it referred to as almost a tobacco-like scent. So very earthy, a little musky. So we're gonna pour boiling water for yerba mate, because again, it's not Camellia sinensis. It is not a true tea. All right, we got that a brewing. I'm going to do 5 minutes because I like mine a little on the stronger side, but not too strong. All right, awesome. So I saw recently that there were 3 young boys in Bolivia that decided it would be a good idea to let a black widow spider bite them in hopes that they would become Spider-Man. The boys did survive, they were fine, but here's my issue with this. If they are true Marvel fans, they would know that the spider has to be radioactive. You can't just go into the wild and let a spider bite you in hopes you're going to get superpowers, you know? There needs to be a lab. There needs to be a love interest. There needs to be a dead relative. This is the formula, you know? Well, like even if they were at a lab and someone was like, hey, this spider's radioactive, and they did it, I would give them more credit. At least they're putting in the right work for that. You know, even if I was at a lab and I have arachnophobia, but if someone was like, this spider is radioactive, I wouldn't do it, but I definitely think about it for a second and be like, well, maybe. But here's the thing too. There's a couple issues with this. Is they can't all be Spider-Man, obviously. These 3 young boys, and as of now, while they did survive, we have no knowledge of them getting superpowers. The reason why I say that is because if they're good superheroes, they're not going to tell anyone who they are, so that's kind of like the first rule. But also there's 3 of them, so they can't all be Spider-Man. So I feel like they needed a backup plan for that. Like if it did work and they all got superpowers, they would need to have like a team name, you know, like the Spider Kids or the Iraq Kids. I'm sorry about the pun there. Won't happen again, I promise. But no promises. So say you got the Iraq Kids, but the problem is also there's a lot of problems. So when you have a group typically that gets superpowers, usually one of them becomes a supervillain. That's like right out the gate. And then maybe they start, you know, they start like, hey, let's just get back at our bullies. And the next thing you know, they're robbing banks. And then the other 2 kids got to stop them. There's a good plot here. I don't know if you knew, for some terrible movie on the Sci-Fi Channel. So what else is like, there could never be, like with the Spider-Man thing, like it's definitely a good thing that in this situation they were hoping the spider would give them powers, because it would be really bad if like Batman was bit by a radioactive bat, because this story could have been very different, especially right now with COVID. because these kids might have found a bat and were like, hey, maybe this will make us Batman, and then we would have been dealing with some weird cross between COVID and rabies, and that sounds like the formula for like some 28 Days Later zombies or something like that. So at the very least, it was a spider, and they lived and everything. That's something. I mean, they'll look. These guys are gonna be friends forever. To be honest, they're gonna have this memory forever. It's almost like a clan. They're gonna have like a. I want to know if they did it on the same spot. So they're just like, yeah, Spider Bros. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'd love to hear from them when they get older and just be like, what the hell were you thinking? Also, the thing I realized about like a radioactive animal creating a superhero is it only really works with small animals. You know, you could technically do it with like, you could do it with a spider, you could technically do it with a rat, but you definitely couldn't do it with like a bear. Like, you couldn't be like, hey, this bear, did you hear Peter Parker got bit by a radioactive bear? No, is he alright? No, his skull is crushed. Yeah, he lived, but he's a little off now. You know, he just eats a lot of salmon and hibernates in the wintertime. It's like, so, but I can't believe that these kids would make that pact together, that they're going to get bit by a spider. So I thought this was appropriate for the Yerba Mate, because it's the drink of friendship. And there's nothing will ever make these friends tighter than getting bit by a black widow together. And just be like, why did we do that? There's got to be another phrase for that. Like, what do they call it when a guy like hooks up with a group of guys hook up with one? They call them Eskimo brothers. What are these guys? Arachnibros? I'm sorry, I did it again. Okay, all right. Well, okay. So we have our Yerba Mate, nice and brewed. Okay. I spilled it. It happened. All right. So it really kind of swells up and bunches up after the brewing process. So, all right, so we got our Yerba Mate. Let's taste this tea. Oh, it's not a tea, I lied. Let's taste this Yerba Mate, this herbal infusion. So here we have a brewed cup of Yerba Mate. You can see it is very dull color. It's a brownish, like a brownish green. It replicates the tea leaves pretty accurately, because they also see these, like, the leaves of the Yerba Mate are very brownish and green. So we're gonna smell it first. It really, sometimes when you have the tea leaves or a rooibos or anything like that, the smell of it pre-brewing and the brewed cup can vary just because of the different aromas. Yerba Mate, pretty much the way it smells is the way it tastes. It's very earthy, but not in the sense of a mushroom earthy like we did with our pu'er tea. That's more of like a sweet, mushroomy, earthy. This is, honestly, it's more of a like a ground earthy, like dirt. Almost, it kind of reminds me of, if you've ever had, it's supposed to be good for like getting rid of water weight, is that dandelion tea. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that. And I do kind of agree with the person that told me it kind of represents almost like a tobacco-like scent. It's very unique. It's very unique. It really doesn't taste like anything most people are familiar with. Again, it's really just earthy. Earthy, a little grassy, but not too much. It really just tastes like you're drinking a cup of the earth. And for sure, a lot of people want to drink Yerba Mate because of the health benefits, but it's definitely an acquired taste. I really enjoy it, but others might not as much. Now, as I mentioned, if I had the bombilla, I would have just left the leaves in there and put the straw in there. Because these don't really re-infuse very well as like the sencha or the pu'er tea. But if you put, a heaping mound of yerba mate in there and just kept adding hot water, you would eventually just diminish it because it would get very strong. The way, when you brew it this way, if you do like a 1.5 teaspoons per 8 ounces and do it for like 5 minutes, you're not really going to get that second infusion. But fortunately, yerba mate is very affordable and very enjoyable. And again, if you really want a good energy boost, the antioxidants, and you're trying to lose some weight, allegedly, again, not a doctor, try yerba mate. It's, again, very affordable. It's like $15 a pound. You can get it off of Amazon or various sites. Comes in a big yellow bag, but as always, you want to put that in a canister. So, big thanks again to all my tea lovers and lovers of other various herbal beverages. If you could continue to like, share, and subscribe to the show, and if you know anyone else that would be interested, share this with them. And I really appreciate all the support I've had this far. So, we'll see you next time.